Have you ever felt a silence so loud it deafens you? That was my world after you left. The echo of a door clicking shut became the soundtrack to my life. I remember sitting on the floor of our empty apartment, surrounded by boxes half packed and memories fully unpacked. They told us we were the forever kind of love, didn't they? We believed it, too. We planned futures, inking our dreams onto napkins in late-night diners. Now, all I had were the ghosts of those plans and a silence that screamed your absence. In those first few days, every corner of the room held a memory. The worn spot on the sofa where you always sat, the coffee mug with a chip on the rim that was yours, the window we'd look out of while dreaming of a house with a garden. It was torture. I'd pick up my phone to call you, to tell you about the funny thing I saw, only to remember I couldn't. My thumb would hover over your name, a digital ghost in my contacts. The weight of that unsent message was heavier than any words we'd ever exchanged. My heart didn't just feel broken, it felt ... erased, as if the person I was with you had simply ceased to exist. I tried to fill the silence. I played our songs until they became just noise. I called friends, but their well-meaning advice felt like a foreign language. They'd say, "You'll get over it," or "There are other fish in the sea." But you weren't just a fish, you were my ocean. How do you explain that to someone standing on the shore? I started to realize that this journey, this suffocating, painful journey, was one I had to walk alone. The silence I was so desperately running from was the one place I had to learn to sit. So I sat with it. I let the quiet wash over me, and in that stillness, I started to hear things I hadn't noticed before. The gentle hum of the refrigerator, the distant chirping of birds outside the window, the sound of my own breathing, in and out. A simple, mechanical act I'd taken for granted, but now each breath was a conscious effort, a tiny rebellion against the grief that wanted to suffocate me, in and out. I am still here. I am still breathing. That became my mantra. I started small. One morning, instead of staring at the ceiling, I got up and made a cup of tea. Not your favorite blend, but a new one I'd never tried. Peppermint. It was crisp and clean. As I held the warm mug, I watched the sunrise paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. I'd seen 1,000 sunrises with you, but this one felt different. This one was just for me. It was a small moment, insignificant to the rest of the world, but for me, it was a lifeline. It was the first time in weeks I'd found a sliver of beauty that was untied to a memory of you. Slowly, I began reclaiming my life, one small, quiet act at a time. I took a different route on my walk, discovering a little bookstore tucked away on a side street. I spent an hour inside, running my fingers over the spines of books, breathing in the smell of old paper. I bought a novel, not one you would have recommended, but one that called to me. That night, I read until my eyes grew heavy, losing myself in someone else's story for a little while. It was an escape. But it was also a beginning. The pain didn't vanish overnight. It came in waves, often triggered by the smallest things: a song on the radio, the smell of rain on asphalt, seeing a couple holding hands. In those moments, the grief would threaten to pull me under again. But instead of fighting it, I learned to float. I'd close my eyes, take a deep breath, and acknowledge the pain. "Hello, old friend," I'd whisper. "I see you. You can stay for a little while, but you can't live here anymore." And slowly, the wave would recede, leaving me tired but still afloat. I started to understand that healing isn't about forgetting. It's about learning to live with the scars. It's about building a new life around the empty space, not trying to fill it. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since we met. My first few canvases were just angry slashes of black and grey. But then colour started to creep in. A bit of blue, a touch of yellow. I wasn't painting for anyone's approval. I was painting because it made me feel alive. It was my breath, my voice, my heart spilling onto the canvas. One day, a friend asked me how I was doing, and for the first time, I didn't have to lie. "I'm okay," I said, and the words felt true. Not perfect, not completely healed, but okay. I explained that the silence was no longer screaming. It had become a space for reflection, for growth. It was a quiet room where I was getting to know myself again, the person I was before you, and the person I was becoming after you. I was discovering that I could be a whole person on my own. My happiness didn't have to be a duet. It could be a solo, and it could be just as beautiful. If you're sitting in that loud silence right now, feeling like your world has ended, please hear this. Your story isn't over. This chapter is painful, but it's not the last one. Be patient with yourself. Let the tears fall, feel the anger, sit in the quiet, and then, when you're ready, take one small step. Make a cup of tea, watch a sunrise, read a book. Find one tiny thing that is just for you. You will learn how to breathe again. It might be shallow at first, a gasp for air, but eventually you'll take a full, deep, cleansing breath. And you will realize that you are still here. You are strong, and your heart, though broken, is learning how to beat again, this time to a rhythm that is all your own. You are learning to live for yourself, and that is the greatest love story you will ever write. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It means the world to know we're not alone on this journey. Take care.